Well, welcome everyone. I'm David Tuttle, Chairperson of the Peoria County Emergency Telephone System Board and also the manager of the City of Peoria Emergency Communications Center. And today we're joined by Sheriff Mike McCoy, Mayor Jim Artis, City Manager Patrick Urick, Fire Chief Chuck Bloss, Police Chief Jerry Mitchell, Tammy Helm from Advocates for Access, Janine McAllister also from Advocates for Access, and Carol Myrna from the Center for Prevention of Abuse. And we're here today to announce that text to 911 service will be available immediately today for citizens that need to text 911 that are unable to make a voice 911 call. And we are one of the first counties and cities in the area to provide this service. The only other county in this area that is providing this service is Knox County. So I kind of wanted to go over a little bit about when you should and should not text to 911, and then we're gonna ask Carol Myrna to come up and kind of talk about what the impact will be for the persons that she works with and represents. Text to 911 is only available for emergency calls or emergency texts. The real purpose of this is for a citizen to be able to make a text to 911 call if they're in a domestic violence situation, they have some sort of medical situation, they're deaf or hard of hearing, or have some sort of speech impediment to where they're not able to clearly give the information to the 911 dispatcher. A text to 911 would be appropriate. We are asking citizens to make a voice 911 call if at all possible, but if they can't make a 911 call by voice, text to 911 is available for them. The first thing that the dispatcher will need when you text to 911 is the location. And that would be not only a street address, building name, apartment number, location of where the incident is on the street, an intersection. That is the most important piece of information that the dispatcher needs when a citizen texts to 911. Then the next thing they need is what type of emergency assistance is being requested. And then be prepared to answer any questions via text from the 911 dispatcher. If for some reason the call gets lost, we will have the ability to text back to the individual and ask them additional questions if necessary. And texting to 911 is as simple as putting in the digits 911 as you would any phone number in the text message field and putting in the message that you want to send. Again, the location information is the most important part for a text to 911 call. It will not work as a group message, so you cannot send 911 and several other folks at the same time. It will only work as a single message to 911. We want the messages to be brief and to the point and use plain language. No LOL for laugh out loud or any other type of abbreviations. We want it to be clear and concise. Text to 911, as I said, is only available at this time in Peoria County and in Knox County to our west. The location identification that comes with text to 911 is really not quite technically there yet. We're using the same system that's being used all over the nation. It'll pinpoint an approximate location of where the caller is, but it really does not zero down on where the caller is. So that's why it's so important that we get the location information from the caller. You must have an active phone to be able to text to 911. The FCC allows voice calls to be made on phones that don't have any service. Those types of phones cause us a lot of issues because we're not able to call them back and they don't necessarily have working service. But to text to 911, you must have a working service. Right now, photo and video is not available via text through the provider that we have. I would look for that in the future for photo and video and pictures to be able to be sent to 911. It will not work when you're roaming. You have to be on your home system. And text to 911 may take longer than a voice call. And the last thing that I want to emphasize is do not text and drive. And Carol, did you want to come up and talk?
Good morning, everybody. Center for Prevention of Abuse is proud to lead a comprehensive multi-county community-based effort to help women, men, and children of all ages live free from violence and abuse. The center is very excited to be a part of this event today to announce and promote bringing 911 in Peoria County into the digital age. Amongst other important services, during the past dozen years, the center has been a strong partner with the Peoria County's Family Justice Center. Along with the Peoria Police Department, Peoria County State's Attorney, Peoria County Sheriff's Department, and others, and in its first 10 years, nearly 30,000 incidents of domestic violence were reported in Peoria County alone. Statistics tell us that for every 3 reports made, there are 7 incidents that go unreported. Peoria County is obviously in no way immune to the problems of domestic violence, which affects individuals of every walk of life, socioeconomic group, gender, religion, race, profession, or education level. We should be attacking this injustice with all of our might, with a profound sense of urgency. We have to ask ourselves why. Why do instances of brutality go unreported right here at home? It's certainly not for a lack of available services or support for survivors. Often the answer is fear. Fear of a more volatile situation if the abuser believes a call is being made. Safety is key. Since 70% of all 911 calls, according to the FCC, come from cell phones that are constantly at our hip pocket, being able to text 911 is a very positive move. It's another tool in our safety plan that we offer to our clients. It's another way to reach out for those that can help, especially if a voice call will put you in further danger. So on behalf of the Center for Prevention of Abuse, thank you to our law enforcement partners, who we appreciate dearly, our cell phone service partners, who are all making Text 911 possible right here at home, because it will, without a doubt, help save lives. Thanks.
Okay, now we'd like to open it up for any questions from not only public safety or the elected officials, but from our partners. Yes, sir.
Are your dispatchers going to undergo any type of training to learn how to understand what folks are saying? And I ask that because you can tell them and we can tell them to use words. That's not how folks do it. So are you guys taking like any type of special training, or do you just hope to understand it?
Well, many of our dispatchers are younger than I am, so they would know what a lot of those different short letters mean as far as what the meaning might mean. So hopefully someone in the room would have that piece of information, or we would be able to look that up. But we don't have any special training scheduled at this time for understanding, short abbreviations. So that's why we would ask citizens that do have to text 911 to do so with plain language.
When you say that the thing that you have now cannot pinpoint a specific location, let's say for instance I'm trying to text something and in the heat of it I forget to tell you exactly where I am, or I don't know. How close of a range can you get to that? Within like a block, within a few homes, within a few feet?
It's within about 150 yards of the call. In an urban area, that could be 25 or 30 houses. It could be an industrial area with multi-levels. It could be in a hotel type entertainment area. So out in the country where you have 1 or 2 houses, it may be easier to find the individual, but in an urban environment with 25 or 30 houses within that 150 yards, it could and would be very difficult to locate that individual.
You mentioned that this is, it's something that is coming out now. What about for instances like Orlando, where people couldn't call 911, that kind of thing? You hope this kind of helps cut down on things like that?
Well, the carriers typically send voice calls before text calls. So in some instances, text messaging would work. Some instances, it may be delayed. But typically, voice calls on networks will take priority over text messaging. So it is possible that both could occur during that particular time, a large event, but most of the time, a voice call will take priority over a text message.
David, I have two quick questions. How much did this cost the county, and is it accessible for those who don't text in English? So if someone were to text in Spanish, will the dispatcher be able to translate?
We will be talking to Voyance, which is our language interpreting services, in order to see if that might be possible, but right now it is only available in English. If you make a voice 911 call, we do have interpreter services for that, but right now text to 911 in Peoria County is only available in English. And the other question is, how much did it cost? It didn't cost anything.
Why?
It is a service that's provided by the telephone carriers, and we are doing it through a secure browser, and they did all the setup, and they provided all of the testing and training, and provided us phones for testing, all at no cost. So other than time, there was no cost.
No new equipment needed to be implemented?
No.
Why do you think this is so rare for different counties to have? I mean, you talk about us being one of the only in the area, people are just giving it for free. I mean, is it just difficult to operate and run? Is it just another, I don't know, is there anything like that?
It is not difficult to operate. It is basically a chat session, and you'll see that when you come over to the 911 center. Agencies have to request the service. So we have reached out to our neighboring counties and let them know that we are moving forward on this and are encouraging them to do so also.
Carol, how important of a tool is this for an organization like the Center for Prevention of Abuse to help people who might not be able to access a phone right away, or it's call?
You know, part of one of the essential services that we provide to clients, whether they're coming through our Order of Protection office in Peoria, Tazewell, or Woodford County courthouses, or maybe they visited one of our emergency shelters in Pekin or Peoria, one of the most integral parts of what we provide is a safety plan. And fact is that when somebody leaves a domestic violence situation, they leave 7 to 8 times before they finally leave that situation for good. So they're going back into maybe a volatile situation, and they need to know what they can do to hopefully make their situation as safe as they possibly can. If I get into a dangerous situation, how do I let people know? So we will be sharing this with our clients absolutely from the get-go to let them know that this is a possibility in Peoria County. If we can give them one more tool to reach safety, one more step towards peace, then everybody's better off.
How much more peace of mind do you think they'll be? I mean, knowing they have that. I mean, do you think they'll have that much more peace of mind when they're in a relationship like that, just to know that there's another outlet?
I have no doubt about that. We've all become a creature of what's most convenient for us. So even if it's because you're texting because you're afraid, that fear has come in, and you want to make sure that that person that is abusing you doesn't know that you're reaching out to somebody. Fact of the matter is, I text instead of calling many times, and it's the cell phone's in our hip pocket. Very few people these days don't have a cell phone. So as a matter of convenience, and you might not give it any other thought than to, I can get a hold of 911 this way. So I think it's going to be, I don't know how widely used in the beginning, because it's going to be a matter of education that it's available. But I think that we're going to see some people use it, and I think that we're going to find them safer.
Have you specifically seen a lot of stories, examples where somebody, if they would have had that phone, it would have really helped?
Well, I was talking to David right before we started about there was a story that was part of a commercial about domestic violence, about a woman that called to place an order for pizza and masked what she was doing, which was reporting an abusive situation by pretending that she was ordering pizza. Now, if somebody's going to go to that extent because they are in an abusive, violent situation, then this is going to be another opportunity for them to reach out.
And this is for the either chief. Dave here mentioned that there's going to be a chance for photos and for video. How excited might both of you guys being, because that could actually offer you a glimpse into a scene prior to even getting there. It could help you, Chief, fight a fire, and it can help you, Jerry, know where folks are, and in terms of all their safety and whatnot. Talk to me a bit about how much that could, if we ever get that, transform your guys' job, please.
You know, any information that we can receive prior to going into a call is going to be extremely helpful. So, you know, the text information as far as location will help us get to the right location. Any kind of background on the incident itself, any kind of pictures that if that does come, is information that will be extremely helpful as we approach a scene. You know, from our side of things, an emergency medical type of a call, it may help us to get some kind of an idea what we're coming into, so that the responders are prepared. And you know, I'll let Chief Mitchell explain on as far as his side, but you know, any kind of information that we receive as responders going in are going to be extremely helpful.
Andy, I think to answer that, just to add to what the chief left off with, is we receive that information now. So a lot of times we would get to a call and somebody may have evidence of what happened just prior to us arriving on their cell phone. So it won't be something new for us.
Might be for David. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of fake 911 calls now, or there might be, I'm not sure. The texting, do you think there's gonna be an issue for potentially more of that and more problems and work for you guys if people are just randomly texting fake emergencies?
There is a possibility. One of the issues that we have with non-initialized phones, phones basically that had service previously and are no longer being used, but they have a battery that still works, they are allowed to call 911. In this particular case, I think what will limit that is that you have to have working service. You have to actually have a plan paying for not only voice calls but texting service. So hopefully that will limit the amount of calls that we receive that are not valid. And Janine wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, I was just, as Advocates for Access, we deal a lot with the deaf and hard of hearing community and work with those individuals. So that's their main mode of communication, is texting, or they use a video phone, which is going through a relay. So this is going to be great news for the deaf and hard of hearing community to be able to use their typical form of communication to get information to dispatch, and then also dispatch can share that with the police that it is a deaf individual, where they're at in the house, and what their issue is. So it's very exciting for the deaf and hard of hearing community. Keep them safe.
Are there any other questions? If not, next door is the Emergency Communications Center. Amy Marion, who's our 911 coordinator, who did all of the initial setup and testing, thank you, Amy, will be available to work through some scenarios with you, and you'll be able to video that. And so whenever you're ready to do that, we'll be glad to take you over. Thanks for coming.